I'm going to show you how I shuck restaurant style. What I do is I have 3 trays set up. One to shuck in, one to take my oysters from, and one to present my oysters on. It can be something like this. These are my shucker patty trays. Doesn't have to be. This can be your plate, your platter with ice. I'm using rocks that are chilled, frozen. I like to use this because I don't have a great ice machine. If you have a great ice machine, you can do wonders. You can do anything you want, but put the tray on this side. This side is your fresh oysters, finished oysters, and you work in a process. I am right-handed. I work from the right-hand side and I present on the left-hand side. If you are a left-handed shucker, hooray for you, you have an advantage based on the anatomy of the oyster, so flip it. You're gonna pick up your oysters with this side and you're gonna shuck it and you're gonna put it on this side here. It works better in your process based on the anatomy of the oyster and of the human being. That's us. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna take a little oyster. First off, you really gotta take your oyster knife. Don't put your oyster knife down. Prep your plate, get your oysters, hold the oyster knife with one finger. Don't put it down. You wanna constantly have motion and move around your system of opening oysters. So grab an oyster, put it onto the board. It's pointing to where my knife is gonna wanna enter. The hinge is pointing towards my knife, so I hold it with my oyster hand. I go in, keep an eye on the oyster. Till it's ready to open, pop it, pry it open, scrape across the top, make sure it's clean, save the shell, take out any grit with your knife tip. You can use your impeccably clean finger, but I recommend using your knife tip from here on out. So use your knife tip, and right here, when you've turned the oyster 180 degrees, there's the adductor muscle, it's closer to me now. I now take my blade and cut it with one go. With that notch blade, it works really nicely. Take this oyster and place it here on the rim. Put the pointy part, the hinge, pointing towards the middle, like a pie wedge. It works very well to assemble your oysters afterwards. Whilst you are placing this one, this hand has nothing to do. It can pick up the next oyster and put it on the board while this one is presenting it. Then it goes backwards and takes this hand, and then you open the next oyster, and then you scrape across the top, and you look for grit, you turn it, you scrape for underneath, and you cut under there, and you put it there, and you grab the next oyster. And you do it again and again, and it takes, oh, this will happen sometimes. Oysters grow in layers, so you can sometimes have the oyster shiv or break off that way. And then it may break as well here, leaving half a shell. You can recover from that. Come underneath, scrape where the adductor muscle is, and you can still have a deliciously perfect oyster. That's what you have to do as an oyster shucker. Look for any grit. Again, back to the adductor muscle, cut underneath, and assemble it. Grab the next one in the hinge, pop it up, cut across, cut there, and go. This is what we do for shucking oysters. Separate your two hands to do two different things. Here at Shucker Patty's backyard kitchen. Just shuck some oysters. That's all we're gonna do.